Good evening and welcome. Boy, did I have a day. But I'm so happy to see y'all come on to my podcast. This is Bob Pace welcoming you how to fight CPS and stop taking my children. Yep, CPS has a bad mark in my book. They've been taking away my children. I've been fighting for 15 years and they've not changed. The stories I hear over and over are the same. They are a very bad agency. They're not transparent. They're liars. They're deceitful. Uh, they're awful. They're really, really awful. I want to welcome all the people to my podcast. I know some of you were texting me. Am I coming on? Yes, I was late tonight. I didn't mean to, but I have a car situation and it's gotten worse. But there is a light down the tunnel. I have a terrible list of failed codes to the smog device. And there's some of them are transmission codes, some are engine codes. Anyway, I have a big mess, but it looks like I can fight it. The only problem is I don't seem to have, I have to hide my car every day and I have to put it far from my house because the city is adamant about parking with expired plates, even though I paid my registration fee. Sad. They like to make money. They've already hit me for $173 to come out to see my car. The towing outfit hit me for $363 to tow it one night in storage. So I've already spent close to $600 and I'm working on 4 parking tickets. And all it is a van. They think it's a motorhome. It's the most silliest thing I ever heard of. It's less than 9 feet tall. It's less than 20 feet long. It's less than 6 feet wide. And where I live, it meets in those codes, but they keep calling them motorhome because they say on the paper it says MH. Looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving. Remember that. With CPS, if you see a smiley face social worker smile at you and promise you and you sign your life away, do not sign anything. Do not commit to anything. Do not say, just say yes, no answers. That's one of my rules. My rule number 3 is yes, no answers. You don't have to talk to social workers by law. You don't have to give them up your children by law. There's ways they can get your children, but a lot of you just don't know and you just give them to them, or you come down to the Department of Social Service and see the child protection system, whatever you're in there. Welcome, Faye. Thank you so much. I got your message, and you're a good woman to come in here and help me out because I really need all the help I can. This is a fun podcast. I have some great people in here. I met several people from countries. I have Archie from Liberia who's on almost all the time. And then I have people from different parts of the country. Welcome, Michelle Porter. They violently ripped mine from my arms. Oh my God. I believe that. I'll believe that. I want y'all to listen to this story. I try to make my shows different, but if I repeat, it's only because this is very important. Picture this: 8 social workers that work in the child protection system and where it is in Prescott, Arizona. And they call their child protection system the DCS, Department of Children's Services. Well, these social workers who have 25 years of time, into the thing, decided one day to wear pink t-shirts, which was stenciled on the front of them is where the problem was. It wasn't the color pink, but they ended up stenciling that they're professional child kidnappers, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, it said, "Do you know where your children are at?" Now, why would anybody in their right mind put those kind of artistic comments and then parade around Walmart and all the department stores in Prescott, Arizona? The time was 2022. Look it up. It's on there. Those 8 social workers were caught. They were fired, and the director of that department was fired. They had one person left to run their social programs. So that was really horrible. Okay, Michelle Porter, I assume you're from Atlanta. Are you Atlanta, Georgia is where you're from? Okay, Faye's got a phone call. She'll be right back. So, picture these social workers. These are the animals that are ripping your children from your arm and taking your children. They're trafficking. They're alienating your children. They're thief. They stole my children. I had 6 children. I'm a loving father. I have 6 children, 3 older ones, 3 younger ones, and a wife of 32 years. I'm a family man. And unfortunately, at the age of 60 in 2010, I lost my career job. And that impacted me heavily. Not only did I lose my job, through no fault of my own, by the way, that was because the state of California needed my money. So they took my $53 million in contract work, decided to use that money to run the state of California. So I guess you guys can thank me in California for keeping your state alive. But I couldn't hold out. I had contract work, and they said, oh, we'll write you IOUs. Well, I went to the banks, and they laughed at me. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, the allegations were coming by lay people. Who are the lay people? My in-laws. My wife's family members were calling in reports that weren't true. I spent the next 5 years, 2010 to 2015, showing them that they're wrong. Showed them, they say you're not paying your utilities. I show them to pay bills. They say you have no food in the refrigerator. I let them in, see my food in the refrigerator. They say, you don't have clothing for the kids. And I show them the closet for the kids. I show how clean their bedrooms are. It's a huge home. It was close to, over 3,500 square feet of home. 2-story, big size lot, swimming pool in the back with a rock walk-in pool, a jacuzzi, waterfalls, an English garden. It's a beautiful home. I mean, there's no question about that. Unfortunately, I was in a perfect storm. I'd lost half my retirement in 2007 when the banks collapsed because the place where I worked invested my money unwisely. They're playing the stock market, and I lost about pretty close to $500,000 of my investment. And so when I lost my home, I was able to hang on to my home for almost 7 years until I ran out of money. I'd saved up enough to pay the mortgage payment stuff, but I lost it. I had to sell my home because I needed to get my kids back. I needed to hire an attorney. So I did rule number 1, but I was late doing rule number 1. I got my attorney a year after my kids were taken. I should have got him right away. But anyway, I hired an attorney, sold my home, hired an attorney, and he got my 2 boys back, but I did lose my daughter. I lost my daughter because she was coerced into thinking what to do by the social workers. Now, Michelle Portner from Atlanta, Georgia, has a lot to say. If you want to call in, I'm getting ready to post my numbers and how they interact in here. Michelle Portner said, midnight, without giving me any paperwork, Judge Desiree Sutton Pepper, I don't know what that means. Did the judge come to your door at midnight? It's okay. Nothing to be sorry about. Thank you. I try to be a good trooper. It's hard. Always working on this. They don't care. I know they don't care. No, I know you don't care. I have a call-in number if you want to call and talk. It's 626-658-0990. 626-098-0990. And you can talk. Any of you can call me. It's my office number. And I will answer the phone, by the way, only between the hours of 7 and 8 at night, Pacific Standard Time, and 10 and 11 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. On Sunday, I'm on at 8 o'clock, so it's 8 to 9 on Sunday. Other dates is still 10 to 11 and 7 to 8. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 shows. So I'd love to have you be the call in or the text in. This is fine that you're texting in. And I try to help you. By, I know they don't care. The social workers, after I told you about the pink ladies, well, get this. Just recently, another social worker in Chicago, Illinois, on her Facebook, posted an ad. And the ad was sickening. It was an ad from 1848, and we got a call coming in from Jacqueline. All right. Good evening, and who am I talking to, and where are you from? Well, Jacqueline called in, but then hung up. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, boy. Let's see what's happened. Oh, part of the problem. Okay, I know why it didn't answer, because my phone application works on the internet, so it's on there. So let me call Jacqueline again. Okay. All right. We had somebody named Jacqueline called in. Sylvia Jacqueline. I don't know where she's from, but area code 470. We'll see if Jacqueline speaks.
Hey,
Hi there. Who's this?
Okay, let me exit your video. This is Michelle. I'm on the bottom chat.
Oh, you have a different name showing up on your phone. That's what threw me.
Yeah, no worries. I've lived a life, as you can probably. I've been through a couple different. I have a very complicated story. I have two children from two different baby daddies. One was my husband. One said he was going to. It's a very long, complicated.
It's okay. I just spoke to someone that had 4 separate daddies, and it was a grandmother, so it seemed more complicated. But I'm open to anything. I'm glad you're here. I think you've been on my show.
The name is all messed up.
I think you've been on the show once before. I think you've been on the show once before. No talk, but you've been on the show.
I love the chat.
Yeah, you've been on the show, but I'm glad.
I talked to Mr. Davis.
Oh, you did? Good.
Consultation.
Good.
Yeah. I don't think I've been on the show before, though.
Okay.
I mean, other than in the chat. I'm a big fan of the chat, but I realize now how disorienting that is to chat along with somebody who's looking at multiple chats, and then you go back and read the chats from the different apps, and then you're having to figure out which time that person said what. So
that's not a problem. Yeah, well, welcome you. But I have a new person just came into chat. It's called Hatisha Harris, and she said yes for no reason. To tears. Yeah. Hi everyone. Well, welcome. I think she had her children immediately taken too. Well, I was just starting to talk about how they interact with my podcast. One way is the call in, which you've done, and that is great. Another way is to text messages, which everybody's doing. But I would hope that everybody would put their city and state, and you'd tell me you're in Atlanta, so I figured you're in Atlanta, Georgia. And I do have people from other countries. I've had right now Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, from South America, north of Brazil, east of Venezuela.
Well, obviously, once these foster parents adopt them out, they can take them on a plane and take them wherever they want and sell them and put them on Facebook Marketplace, all this stuff.
I know, but these people calling in from other countries are talking about how their CPS case, and they're trying to learn from other, because I've had Mexico, I've had Mozambique from the east coast of Africa near Madagascar, and then I've had Denmark, and then I had Liberia from the west coast of Africa on the coast there. He's called in a bunch of time. I've had Denmark, which I've said, I think. I've had Sweden and Rwanda from East Africa, Rwanda. So I've had several people from Africa.
You know, there was that memo. There was a memo that went to the UN from Nancy Schaefer. She actually went to the UN about this, like in the early 2000s. Like, and it's interesting that now the UN they've known it's a global issue for over a decade, almost 2 decades now.
Oh, it's been a problem. It took in 1978. It took the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, to stop them kidnapping Indian children all the time. It took them 100 years to resolve that. This whole CPS goes back to colonial times. It goes back to the 1600s. And there was a case in the 1600s. So anyway,
it's cultural appropriation. It's basically cultural appropriation. It's
right.
Saying that these families that we decide get the stamp of approval are better than any sort of biological family because we want to reprogram these people to do what we want them to do.
Well, the studies have shown that the best parents are the biological parents. And I understand you have 2 separate daddies for your separate child. That's okay. Do those fathers want to be involved with you?
No, because they see they have their own. One has an immigration issue. The other one has other legal issues. So they're both, you know, how if the system can use any situation to their advantage, they will. And so they don't, in order to stay out of trouble, they don't want to get involved.
Well, that only is good for one thing. It's bad for the kid because they don't have the father. But if the father's bad news, he's got problems, it's best. I mean, I'm really disappointed in fathers that abandoned their women and abandoned their children, not help out with child support. If the relationship's gone sour, so be it.
I don't even care about the child support. I just want the kids back. I don't care about any of the money. They just need to give me my kids back. They violently ripped them from my arms illegally without giving me any documentation. And so, like, you can't say that a mother who naturally gave birth to their child is ill fit. Biologically, you are incorrect. The biological system that exists before any sort of human-created system has already said that is the child. Like, I am best suited for the child's survival. Like, that's ridiculous. And the fact that they're doing this over and over and over again, and then using whatever. I used to be a teacher. I had a 4-to-1 ratio. They would put 4 of the rich people kids in front of me, so I would teach them. And then all of a sudden, I have inventory, so I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No, it's okay. I'm letting you talk a little bit here. I have a couple questions for you. The first child, was that your husband, or was that just a boyfriend you met?
It was my husband.
Okay. Now, when you and your husband went through a divorce, how was the custody arrangement with your child?
So he wanted me to get an abortion. He tried to kick her out of me at 14 weeks. I ran. I found some friends and everything like that, and I had the baby, and I was with my boyfriend at the time, and we were working on getting work together. We were working.
Was his first child the husband you're married to? Was he on the birth certificate?
No.
Okay.
Because he wanted me to get an abortion.
Right. Okay. So you got a divorce. In the divorce. The
CPS has found him. They DNA tested him already. He's TPRing. I don't really care about him. He's not,
okay, that's fine. But what did the judge decide in family court with the divorce? Who has the custody? You have sole custody of your daughter before she was taken?
He didn't. He told me literally when I was pregnant, the guy told me I wasn't pregnant. So, and then when he got a divorce, he said there were no kids, and I'm like, well, keep on lying, I guess. I don't really care. All I wanted to do was make sure the baby was okay. That's why I ran away from him.
Okay, but in the custody, what did the judge say? Who gets the child? Who has the custody of the child? Is it 50-50 or?
He lied in court. He lied in court and said there were no children as part of the marriage.
Well, if you said there
And
is a
now he's
child
part of
in
the
court, what did the judge do? Believe him
No,
over you?
I didn't. He served the wrong people. I was moving because I was trying to. He like literally like I was like he left me with no resources.
Right.
So
Who
I
filed for
had gone
divorce?
from place
Who
to
filed
place,
for
and they
divorce?
served the wrong person.
Yeah.
It's a very long. It's very long.
Well, it's
But they
okay.
served the wrong
But
person. They served,
who filed the divorce? Who filed the divorce, Michelle?
he filed for the divorce because I didn't care. All I wanted to do was save the baby. I didn't want him
Okay.
in my stomach to get a baby.
And now you served the wrong people. So are you not divorced?
No, I mean, I don't know how that legally works. It's not very legal, but the judge signed off on it, and I don't know. I mean, I got remarried, so I guess so.
Well, I don't know. You may be a bigamist if you're still married to your first husband, but okay.
But
so
a judge in Florida said that he got divorced. He got the divorce papers, and I got them from the clerk down in Florida.
Okay, and nothing was mentioned about the child.
Correct. He said there was no children.
Okay, which is okay. Now, did CPS get involved with your first child?
Not until I had my second baby.
All right. Now, when you had your second baby, were you married to that guy or just had a boyfriend?
No, I got talked into a non-legal marriage. We were married in concept. No.
Did you get a license? Did you file a license?
Did I what?
Did you file a license to get married?
No, not with him.
Okay, so you're not married to the second husband.
He got his driver's license with me. I was very proud of him. He finally got his driver's license.
Well, no, we're not. Yeah, okay. Now, on that birth certificate, is he on the birth certificate?
There were no birth certificates. That's why they were able to medically steal them at the Children's Health Care Atlanta Eggleton.
That brings a point. Now, stop there for a moment. Now, I want everybody to listen.
So they took both of my kids.
Yeah, stop. There is something that you're talking about that Faye has been talking about. She's one of my regulars, that they don't want to have a father on the birth certificate because they want to have that child adopted and the new parents put on that birth certificate. You have to be very careful. Do not.
In my case, they're waiting. They want a TPR in my case, but they're waiting on the vital records to issue them birth certificates.
Well, let me have Faye. Let me have Faye talk to you. She's listening on the broadcast. She's from Richmond, Kentucky, and she'll tell you what they're doing and what you can learn from what she says. Faye, if you can hear me.
What's that, Faye?
Faye, if you can hear me, Faye, she'll type it in. This parent, Michelle Portner, never had a husband put on the birth certificate, the father, and so she said that they took her from her when she had no birth certificate. Faye, help me out here. You've talked about this before, Faye, in there. So what Faye has said to me, they do that purposely so they can put the adopted parents on that birth certificate, and you'll lose your rights. You lose your rights. You lose rights. Here she comes. Here she comes. Here she comes. Listen here.
Because they can't. The vital records aren't issuing them.
Hold on, Michelle. Faye will tell you to explain to him. Now, she said, Kentucky dad called. I'll be back. Okay. Oh, her dad called her, so she's tied up. Okay. Let me try to explain as best I can. When you do not have the parents listed, you should always insist the hospital give you the birth certificate. Don't let them steer you wrong, because if you don't have that birth certificate, you've lost your parental rights to that child.
That's exactly why they ripped them from my arms, because they waited. Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Okay, as long as you're aware of that, it's not the end of the world that you can get them back, but it's really important that you're aware. And anybody listening, do not leave without the birth certificate. You need that because what will happen is that CPS will get the birth certificate without the parents listed, so they can purposely put the foster care parents there. And then when their foster care parents put there, The biological mother and the father have no rights. They've lost their rights to their children.
That's illegal, though. That's
Well, there's a lot of things
tampering
illegal.
documents.
You have to understand that if
That's
CPS,
tampering
I know, but if CPS can parade around in pink T-shirts and on the front professional kidnappers, on the back were your children, what does that tell you? And that's from
how do we stop it? No, but how do we stop all of us? Like,
okay.
I'm not interested in. I mean,
I know.
want you to solve my case. Don't get me
Several
wrong,
days,
but
several days ago,
all of us?
I know, several days ago, a lady called in. I forgot she was from Arkansas. She says, "How can we change CPS from the bottom?" Well, I digest a little bit. I talked a bit, and I've been doing this now for 15 years. So I've talked to over 500 people from every state of the union. And so I have some idea. A lot of people do rallies. Sacramento, California had a big rally. The problem is to make changes to CPS has to be done at the congressional level. There are 3 branches of government. There's the executive branch.
They're not doing that with these clowns electing this
year. Well, I'm just trying to tell you. I know that, but there's the judicial, the executive, and the congressional branch. In the congressional branch, every state has 2 senators, and each state also has 10 to 15 to 20 representatives. Yeah, and what you need to do, and I hate to say this, is that you need to make commotions. We need to get radio stations. We need to get them.
I know I've called them all, but we need to focus on one a day. We need a schedule. So you've got at least 20 people who look at you every single week. Like, make a schedule of who to call and what day we're calling, and we'll blast them. Like that. Yes, I'm down with that. But we've got to focus it so that they focus on that issue that day, because otherwise it's just one call in a whole cave. And that's not working, because
no, it goes in 1 year. You see, the other problem is that the government doesn't know how corrupt. Well, maybe they do know. It's an $80 billion business. They're in it strictly to make money.
Yeah.
Our government right now has.
And we're about to start war.
Yeah, our government is more concerned about paying $1,000 for a toilet seat. The military says, I need a new toilet seat. So they turn in an invoice for $1,000. What they're doing is our own military is ripping off the money. The money that we spent.
Toilet seats is art, because half the world doesn't even have toilet seats.
I know, but it doesn't cost $1,000 for a toilet seat. I can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and spend $50 and get a good toilet seat. But the problem being is that no one is managing our money. Every couple of months, the government, Congress saying, we don't have money to pay our bills. Well, the reason why you don't have money to pay your bills is you're spending $1,000 on toilet seats. You're spending $80 billion on the child protection system. $80 billion. That's more money they gave to Ukraine. And on top of that, there is a group at Salt Lake City. I'm not picking on Salt Lake City. It's a cult group. What I mean by cult, they have a religion. All right.
I know.
And they are getting millions of dollars every year to find an alternative source of fuel. And in the 15 years they've been getting the million some dollars every year, they have not produced 1 drop of fuel. So what's happening is that our hard-earned taxpayer money goes to the government to pay all these services, and no one is monitoring the money. They're not being transparent. Do you know that $80 billion, no one's even worried about that? In fact, in Richmond, Kentucky, there's an audit going on, and right now CPS doesn't know where $900,000 went to. That's almost $1 million.
This is my. Do we all know where our children are? Because how many Amber Alerts can they really issue in one day? Because the only thing it's stupid, and I'm tired of paying them just to kill people. They're killing our kids.
They're trafficking our kids. They're alienating our kids, and they're putting the. I don't know if I live near a coastal port. The port of Long Beach, the port of LA, one of the biggest ports in the world. They have containers. I live in the number 1 area in the United States for child trafficking, for sex trafficking. Those young people or adults are shipped in containers to China and serve as servants to the rich, and they're trafficking into sex because they're passports or driver's license or tech, and they have no identification. It's terrible, the trafficking of people. Child trafficking, for sex trade is terrible. We can't do everything overnight.
I know.
We can't. Right now we're in the midst.
They get us all riled up about this legal stuff. While they're breaking the law. They're breaking the law.
Well, here's the problem is it's so hard to change. We had administration that had a closed border. Well, that guy didn't get to go on, and a new guy came in, and his first act was to open the border in, so we get 1 million people coming in. There's so many crimes have been created lately, and there is so many people coming in here. Half the Chinese army is in the United States. Where are they? They're hiding out in places right now. There's so much going on. I mean, we need to close our borders. We need to have it so that people, right now they're taxing our system. When they come across the border, do you know they get food stamps? They get a job at McDonald's for $20 an hour. They get clothing.
I really, and this is partly why CPS calls me delusional. One of my belief systems, and I studied political science and education, so I'm not necessarily the worst person as far as actually researching, but I do believe that if we don't give up money in the way that we know money, we're going to keep using people in this way and not realize that humanity and other species and biology far surpass anything that the human mind as an individual or even a collective level has come up with in a bigger term. We are an ignorant species to think that we are a superior species. And it's very ignorant for all of these people to try to circumvent a biological process and rip children away from their parents just to earn money. It's not advantageous for the entire species. It's going to it's not good for us. It's self-gratification.
It's all money. My social worker who trafficking my children into foster care, she was very young. She didn't have a college degree, no social work experience. She didn't have to have a license. They hired her. She didn't even have taken the parenting classes or the program anger management or the drug. She knew nothing about all that. And here she is dictating how the family is going to be reunified. And she's very naive and stuff. It was really bad. Now, in Richmond, Kentucky, they're required to have a social degree, and they're required to have a license. Now, in Georgia, I don't think they're required anything. I think anybody can be a social worker there. But,
I mean, this is the thing. I literally, before this could happen, Bob, you could fingerprint me before the state targeted me as something to bully for my children. You could fingerprint me and I could go into preschools and teach I'm a teacher. I have done nothing wrong, even in protecting my children and trying to, deal with CPS. I haven't done anything wrong.
What were the allegations against you for your two children? What were the allegations?
Oh gosh. I've been you'll love it. I've gone from neglect to smothering. They can't decide what's wrong with me. It's pretty brilliant.
Well, no, it has to be either neglect or abuse. Which one is it? Abuse or neglect?
Well, I've heard neglect.
Okay, neglect. Now, did you not supervise your kids? What was the neglect charge?
You're freaking.
Okay, what was the neglect charge?
They haven't. The case is still going on. They haven't. I really don't know what
they need to tell you. They need to tell you. They cannot.
It took a year to get a lawyer. It took a year to get a lawyer to even get the removal order. They didn't give me the removal order for over a year.
Removal who?
My children. They didn't give me any paperwork. They came into the middle of the hospital at 12:05.
Okay, you had medical trafficking. You had medical trafficking. I didn't know that. You're at the hospital when they took your children.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Eggleston. On October 5th, 2022, they stole both of my children from my arms at midnight without any paperwork.
Right. Did you not try to ask the doctor to get the people out of there and go down the lobby to get the police and the social workers to get out of your room? That's your hospital room.
The police came into my room. They stormed into the room.
Did they have a warrant?
5 deep.
Did they have a warrant?
No, they had nothing. And they didn't. It took 2 lawyers, 3 lawyers if you count the actual one that they appointed me finally, but 3 lawyers for them to actually just recently in the past 2 months give me the removal order. They did so bad with me. They really messed up with me, and I just want my kids back.
Have you tried to go? Okay, Faye's back. Faye, okay, you're here, Faye. Could you explain to Michelle? She had a situation where her birth certificate was never given to her, so there's no biological father or mother put on it, and now CPS has produced the birth certificate to put foster care people on there, and they've taken her children. Do you understand, Faye? Can you explain to her what you told me about the birth certificates? Can you tell me a little bit about that, Faye? She will help out a little bit there. So, first of all, the court-appointed attorney is a waste of time. The court-appointed attorney.
I did pro se for a few months after I realized how much. I mean, he was nice.
No. The court-appointed attorneys are in the wrong court. First of all, the Constitution says if we can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed. But in criminal law, those court-appointed attorneys are a lot better. But in dependency law, they're terrible. First of all, CPS has you guilty.
Because they're paid by the same stipend.
I know that, but first of all, CPS is that they have you guilty and you have to prove you're innocent. And every other legal thing, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Law, I can give you the case code.
No, I know the code. I'm trying to understand it. I know what they did. They did what's called medical trafficking, and it's against the law. And
I know.
And you're by yourself. I guarantee if the biological father loved you enough, he'd be by your side, and he would have marched the policemen and the people out of there until they got a court order or something in there. And the hospital manager would have done the same thing. When you're in there having a baby or having a child, there has been cases where the social worker with the policeman to intimidate will storm in there and take your child just coming out of your uterus. I've heard of parents tell me that. Mm-hmm. That's how bad they are.
Yeah, they do.
I know, and I'm trying to tell my listeners.
What are we doing about all of them? What's our plan for all of it? Like, I get that I'm not the only one. I'm telling
No. Your case is very similar to Faye and all the other mothers. Now, I did have Harris say something. My adopted Caucasian son was taken away from me just recently. I gave it all I got for a good attorney because he's sickly, and for the state to help pay things. It won't make me to take no thought. No, I don't know if it's a special needs child, Hostessa.
Darlene, I was a former employee of the hospital too, and recently when I took, I was a foreman. What hospital did you work at? Darlene, say it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw Darlene.
No, Darlene just came on. I don't know where Darlene's from, but she just came on, and she said, Michelle Portner, they did the same thing to me, and I'm an RN and a former employer of the hospital. Darlene, what hospital, what city? Were you in Atlanta, Georgia, Darlene?
What hospital?
I don't know. She hasn't answered yet.
No, but this is happening. It's medical. It is totally medical trafficking because all the medical people know these IVF people who have failed, or they have a baby in their NICU right now that's going to die, and they're going to offer some. It's just like an organ transplant to them. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is illegal. That's illegal. You can't sell organs. Yeah, where are you, Darlene? This is crazy.
It's okay. You got
Tully Circle. Out of Tully Circle. Oh, yep.
She says I was on the Peter Dish critical care transport.
Pediatric
Began. We
team.
went to all the hospitals out
It
of
looks
the.
like Darlene, it looks like a Borg cube now, don't it? That thing they made it look like a Borg cube, that new building, the Children's Healthcare.
Is she from Atlanta,
yeah,
Georgia?
Baby girl.
Is she from Atlanta, Georgia?
And then John Hopkins. John Hopkins just got it for they're pulling, and I'll tell you this, when we just came out of the hospital, yep, baby, yep. Let's go. Me and you. Come on.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Now
Faye doing it.
Faye has just answered. Well, if the birth certificate is not filed by the parents before DCF takes the children, then the DCF will file one themselves, and the certificate they'll get will have only the child's name, date of birth, and the hospital and country born in, but will not have, it will leave blank where the parent's name should be. They will leave it blank to add foster adopted parents in place in the event that the parents' termination rights are taken away. Do you see what Faye wrote?
I'm on YouTube, so I just see what Darlene's writing.
Well, Faye wrote. She's on YouTube, and she wrote.
Let's see. Where's Faye? On the live chat?
Yeah, she wrote at 7:58.
Let's see. Boy, Tricia Harris and Darlene and me. Scottish, right? That's where it was just Yeah. Yep, let's go. Darlene, you and I. Come on. I got look on my channel. I've got video of them doing this in the past 2 weeks to me, bullying me with my current. Look at it. Let's go. I'm done with this. I want my babies back, though. I don't care about the stupid money. I just want my babies back. And it's stupid they're gonna make us sue the hospital or sue the state to get our babies back after they CPR everybody and give them to the foster parents and let them be trafficked for a couple of years and hope they stay alive.
Well, you first of all, you can appeal it. You need to go back and demand your birth certificates from the hospital, by the way.
Yeah.
You need to go to the hospital.
They're not going to do that. They're not giving it to us.
Why not?
Well, because they lie, they cheat, they steal.
Well, wait a minute. The hospital gets your insurance.
Just to get the removal order.
Didn't you have insurance? You got to be calm about this. You got to think this logically. Didn't your insurance pay for the birth of your child? Didn't your insurance pay for the birth of your child?
No, that's what they're going to claim on there is that. But I didn't actually. No. Well, I mean, I should be on state insurance at some point, but I'm sure they'll get their money no matter what. It's coming out of like No Child Left Behind money. So the only thing these hospitals need to do is say that you know how hospitals claim unclaimed bills, and they just get it. They did that a bunch for COVID. They've done it before COVID. You told me.
Right, I know about that. Yeah. So Darlene and you are both from Atlanta, Georgia, and
same hospital.
Wow.
Right too. Yep. I don't know. Is there? I mean, for a class action like this, if they've been medically doing this to children for this long, like, why can't we not band together and sue them? Like, yeah, let's go, Darlene. Come on, and other people too. Like, they're all in bed. If they're all getting if they're all getting No Child Left Behind money, that's the link to the federal government that we need, so it can go to the federal level.
Well, if you're going to sue, if you're going to sue the CPS, the Child Protection System, you need an attorney. You will not do it pro se, and you certainly will not do it with a court-appointed attorney. So you need someone that can fight. And right now, the only attorney I know that can fight CPS at the federal and state level is Vincent W. Davis, and he will do he'll do any 50 states. He's Northern California. He will.
We need him to stick around for a while.
He will be. Yes, he will be. But the thing
don't
is,
keep them healthy over there.
Yeah. But you have several issues going with you. You had medical trafficking that happened. They took your birth. You should have asked and pressed them before you left the hospital room. I'm not leaving.
It doesn't matter. If I didn't have two babies taken care of, I would have recorded the dang thing. But I was taking care of two babies, and they knew I wouldn't be able to grab my phone enough time to record them from storming the room. They're getting Title D and Title E money from, they sure are, from the Social Security Act. They sure are. And that's medical trafficking. And there's laws against using, and if there's enough biological evidence to prove that a child is needed, like a subsidiary of, there's enough medical and psychological evidence to prove that what they are doing to children is harmful. And that is their first oath. Do no harm. Do no harm is their first oath, and they know they're doing harm for money. They know it.
Yeah. Okay, we got a new message here. Let me see. Hatisha Harris, I'm going to sue them in my case, Darlene. Yes, my court attorney seems like a state attorney. My public defender appointed by the state say they don't have nothing on me, but if I win, they'll be back. Natisha, don't trust your court appointed attorneys. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients, and they do not. They will not protect you, and they'll not fight for you.
Make them email. Document.
Yeah, right. Oh, I know. See, Darlene further said, Chalk hid entire hospital stay where they committed erroneous medical malpractice, 7 weeks. And then Hatisha Harris says, my son is a specialized kid. He needs special needs. And that's more money. That's what they want. And Darlene said it was left out of the records. They're notorious for lying and deceiving. I tell people that deal with CPS is like your Alice in Wonderland, fell in the rabbit hole and going through all these rooms that say off of your head and doors that go nowhere. You're in Alice in Wonderland. I know firsthand experience because I too.
Intentionally, they put you down. They put the parents. Like we sit here and we talk about, place them with a relative, place them with whatever. And I've heard enough of the foster parent issues that I honestly think that they're just middle class people who thought that they were doing good too. Most of the time, some of them are bad, but most of the time, I think the legitimate foster parents that tried to do it, I think there's some good ones out there. There are some bad ones out there, but I think what happens is they get lost in the shuffle. I think it's a transporter.
I've had one social worker that was a guest on my show. She talked for 40 minutes. Her name was Carol, and she's from Maryland, and she had a clinical psychology degree, and she said the state of Maryland made her take 6 months of training. Now, that is so far, I've only had one social worker talk to me on this podcast. Most of them don't want to talk, and they're embarrassed. Because why? You got the pink ladies.
I'm done with it because I want my kids back.
Yeah.
I'm done with the embarrassment, guys. Let's just balls to the wall. I'm done with it. I get that some of us want to go back into the professional world. Because if we speak out, if we've been this half and half, we've done some mistakes, but then we also want to go back and have a good job or anything. It's expected for us to just do what they want, even though we know that's never going to result in our kids coming back because they have shown us through previous cases that they just intend on stealing the kids. And if you worked with kids beforehand, you saw it firsthand. If you were a nurse, if you were a teacher, if you were any sort of public servant, you saw it firsthand already. That's no.
Well,
I want the kids back. How do we get our kids back?
Well, you got to get an attorney. And you got to get an attorney
I've been through 3.
that fights.
All of us.
You need to get a right kind of attorney. You need to get right. It's just like a doctor. If you're going to do open heart surgery on yourself, are you going to use yourself to cut open your heart? You can use a lay person. You're going to use your neighbor. Or you can use a plumber. or you can use an auto mechanic. No, you're going to get a specialized doctor, and that's what you have to do with CPS. You need to get a specialized CPS attorney. It's called a family dependency attorney. And right now, I have Vincent Davis, and I do want to say about him here a second. Here, let me see. There's another message that came through here. Hatisha Harris says, for 11, I had my son in my care, and these people just took my son, but my attorney come in for a medication that we're having soon. I'm ready to kick. They butt it. For 11 years, I mean. Okay, I need a lot more information, Atisha, about your case. I don't even know what place you're from. I need you to do that. Let me tell you about Mr. Davis and give you his phone number, by the way. His phone number, by the way, you need to contact Mr. Davis. He'll do a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. His number is 888-888-6582. Talk to him. He'll give you 30 minutes for $60. Well, he'll give you 30 minutes. Well, he'll tell you.
I got that. I get that. But the thing is, but he's got so many of us. Like,
I know there's so many, but you can't do a lawsuit. You can't do a lawsuit until your case is over. You can't do a lawsuit till you're done with your case.
I'm not trying to do a lawsuit. I'm trying to get my kids back. But they're not going to play with me in this.
They will. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. You say yes, no answers, and you do what they ask you. You eventually get your kids back. It'll take time.
I've done it over and over and over again. It's done. I already know it's done. I already know. I can feel it. I already know. The only reason they can't go through with the TPR is because Vital Records will not send them birth certificates. So until Vital Records and USPS figure out how to create a schedule, and hopefully that doesn't happen for the next July for me, but that's not going to happen. Like, I know what they're working on because I've seen so much from before I had children, and now that I have kids and I've seen what they do, and I've seen all that every week. I've watched this as much as you. I mean, I've researched this ever since they stole them in 2022. So we're all done with it, and I know that I know focusing and specializing seems like what everybody wants to do, but and I'm asking this genuinely, like there's a lot of us this has happened to. Like, how do we solve this problem from the top down to get the kids home before they get real hurt?
You can't do it overnight. You can't overnight. It's step at a time. I've been talking, since October to over 500 people. And it's the same story here. It doesn't happen overnight. But today, this morning show, I had 2 people call in. They got their kids back. It does happen. You will get your kids back. It just takes time. There's a lady in New York called KK that got her kids back. She just told me that. And so they do eventually come back. I do have success stories. It just takes time, and you be patient with the whole system. It's really hard.
I've been watching Ossoff. Ossoff is the senator doing it here in Georgia, and that's what Darlene mentioned just now. In touch with Senator Ossoff. Okay, Bob, I didn't get my. Yeah, I know. I know, Darlene. Let's. It's bad, and it's bad in Georgia. Georgia's one of the biggest ones, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well,
too.
So is Kentucky. So is Kentucky.
Darlene, I'll give you mine. If we can prove for the special needs, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I didn't quite get what Darlene meant by special needs children do not come home.
Special needs children.
Diagnose them with something.
Yeah, special needs children. For instance, there's a lady in Georgia. Yeah, you got to listen here for a second. There's a lady in Georgia named Darlene. She has a special needs son. He was sent from Georgia to Texas because they couldn't take care of special needs. So the ICPC, which is an independent agency, transport him. The only problem is when he's in Texas, he turned 18. So he needs to come home. And so his mom, Darlene, wants to get guardianship of him. He's old enough, he wants to come home. But CPS is still trying to operate him even though he's over 18. So it just takes time. Time is, I didn't get my kids back right away. It took me 3 years of fighting to get my children back. And mine wasn't anything. Mine was neglect. And the neglect I had is I had my parents' belongings. I was sorting in the home, and they thought that endangered the kids. That's how stupid it was.
Yeah. And mine was literally, I have a bed on the ground because Skyly was about to start crawling, and I wanted to make sure she could crawl comfortably. And that's what they're like. She doesn't. I was like, she has a crib, but she doesn't want it, and that's why the bed's on the ground. And they're like, you don't have a bed frame. I'm like, okay, They make up the stupidest reasons, and they don't even communicate with one another. So each of the stupid reasons are different. Like if you talk to a cop or you talk to one social worker, or you talk to the stupid. Like I'm so done with their stupid reasons. They're just playing a game with children's lives, and it's the stupidest thing I've seen, and I'm done with it.
Well, there's really 3 ways you can go. One way. There's 3 ways. There's 3 ways you can go, Michelle. There's 3 ways you can go. One is you can stick it out, do what they ask, and get your children back. 2, you could sue them when the case is closed and get them monetarily. And 3, you could change it at the congressional level where you have to have Congress make the changes. That's the only solution. Those are 3 basic solutions. They're basic solutions. Either you fight your case, do what they ask, say very little, yes, no answers, get your children back. It may take a year or 2. 2 is that you can sue them after your case is over and you get awarded millions of dollars, and you can sue them. 3 is you can go to Congress and fight it in Congress and have Congress make the changes to the child protection system.
I've been doing it on the state and the federal level. Like I've been advocating. I've done the ones with the office that Vincent mentioned. It's escaping my mind because it's in my email, and I'm venting right now and upset and not thinking about legal stuff.
It's okay. It's okay to be upset, and I'm sorry you're going through it because
really shorts that are very helpful.
Yeah, you have a lot of frustration, and I know it is hard on you. It is hard on you. I have about.
Because they're hurting. Like it's like listening to the kids cry and not being able to do anything about it.
Well, I have a 21-year-old daughter. It's going to be 22 on July 9th. Now, she was taking me at age 12, and she was told to divorce her parents, to seal her birth certificate, to change her name, and to be adopted into foster care. She got rid of her foster care parents because they molested her. So that was a mistake. She didn't know. She's a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, is all I could say. And, she didn't know. And the social worker was doing a vendetta. She was caught on the stand lying, our social worker. I could have a perfect lawsuit against her, but it'll cost me $50,000
the state
to
of
start.
Georgia as a whole, last October, the state of Georgia and three judges, two sitting and one that's retired after 30 years of service, came onto the bench in John Ossoff's human trafficking Human Rights Committee actively said that CPS in that state that year had come up to them and tried to house special needs children inside jail facilities because they had no homes for them. Yeah,
what I'm going to do, and I don't mean to cut you off here, but I got to close out the show because
go for it.
I've been on there for a good hour, and I apologize, but that doesn't mean you people can't come back. I'm on twice a day and 7 days a week, so I want to welcome you all. I'm going to get on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I want to thank all the people that talked in here. Michelle, who called in, Michelle Portner, Faye, who comes here all the time for Richmond, Kentucky, Michelle Portner's from Atlanta, Georgia. I have Hatisha Harris, who she's from Illinois, Chicago. Chicago, Illinois is Harris is from. I appreciate your comments. And also Darlene Smith is from Georgia. And I appreciate your comments too. I want to thank you. All your moms are super people. You love your children. Please don't give up. Still fight for your children. They deserve you. You will get your children back. So God bless you all. Thank you all for the input. And I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. This is Bob Pace